105 Airways Boulevard in Jackson, Tennessee. We'll all rise. Mr. Wall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today we have Commissioner Andy Hall, who's going to deliver our invocation and pledge.
That's great, Lord. We are so grateful for this morning that we all got up, able to be here. And Lord, I just pray right now, Father, that you would forgive us for how we fail you. We thank you for your blessings. We pray, Father, as we go forth this morning, that we would do the work that would glorify you as we go forth in this county. We thank you for each individual here, each elected official, each department head, each person, and each one of us play a certain role, Lord. So we just lift it up to you this morning. We pray these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Abernathy. Day. Alexander. Arnold. Black.
Present.
Bond.
Here.
Brown. Bryant Finney.
Here.
Bryant Mike. Here. Eaton.
Here.
Ellison. Here. Godwin. Hale. Here. Hall. Here. Hicks. Present. Johnson. Here. Jones.
Present.
Martin. Here. Mercer. Montague. Here. Neha.
Here.
Taylor. Here. Tippett. Here. Wall. Here. Watson. Here. 23 present, Mr. Chairman.
23 present, 2 absent. We have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous May 15 meeting.
I make a motion to approve those minutes.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
All in favor say
Yeah,
aye.
but, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Birmingham, under the transfer of funds concerning Fred Young's park and the highway department, last month I tried to point out, we do not have a Fred Young park at this time. We have a Fred Young facility. I think all of us in here know the reason changing the name from park to facility was to open the door to sell alcohol in the Madison County park system. My amendment is to change the facility name back to the park name, Fred Young Park. This goes back to the beginning of time for the Fred Young Park, back to over 50 years ago. 79-acre family park. Fred Young, the name of the park should be Fred Young Park, Madison County Equestrian Complex.
Jimmy, you making a motion to change the
Yeah,
name?
well,
We voted for that name. You want-
right,
let Jay speak towards you.
Well, my understanding was you were gonna bring a motion to amend the minutes because from the email you sent, you thought that the park had been named incorrectly. Is that the motion? Because the motion you made sounds like it doesn't have any bearing on the minutes, but it's to rename the park.
everything has to do with the minutes.
Okay.
You can't transfer the funds if the name's not proper.
Okay. Again, my recollection is that the budget amendment said Fred Young Park. A motion was made to correct that, and the minutes reflect that it was changed to the name, let me pull those up, Madison County Equestrian Complex Fred Young Facility, which is what the Conservation Board voted to name the facility and what the County Commission voted to name the facility in March.
We all understand that, Bush. This was brought to this commission, I believe it was back in February or March, You all voted on it, but you really didn't know what you were voting on. And I would hope somebody would speak to that effect. That,
Jimmy, I think your biggest concern is you think if they changed the name back to Park, they wouldn't be allowed to sell alcohol, is that correct? Is that your major concern?
that is the only concern.
They can't sell alcohol no matter what the name is.
Well,
It's state law.
I'm not an attorney, but you're wrong about that. It will come up. This is a step to the next step. And that step, according to Commissioner Watson, Richard Watson, he was on the Recreation Board. And his last statement to them was, move ahead, making applications to the beer board to sell alcohol. It's plain.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Watson.
there was questions brought to the Conservation Board from promoters about selling alcohol. The Conservation Board didn't really know the true answer to that, so we passed that along to get a definitive answer, which we have in turn gotten. We cannot sell beer per state, and nobody on the Conservation Board is pursuing, because some of the things that has to happen is playground removals.
But the name had nothing to do
The
with
name
it.
had nothing to do with it. And we don't want playgrounds removed from the park. We don't want that. So the alcohol issue is dead. It ain't gonna happen. We don't want it to happen.
Why do we change the name from a park to a facility? What's the backing of it?
The name change has got to come to promote what's going on there now. It's not just a
What would
regular
Fred
park up
Young
there
Park compared to Fred Young Facility Center have to do with promoting it?
I didn't come up with the name change, but I was there for it, and I did vote for it.
If I'm not mistaken, you seconded.
I did second it, but I didn't come up with the actual name.
Just one more.
Yes, sir.
It seems to be a lot of conversation is not directed to the chair, and we are discussing the minutes. There's a motion on the floor. I believe it received a second.
No, it didn't.
I think it
Got a motion for it, no second.
Richard
I seconded approving the name.
Second, okay.
And so-
But his motion was not to approve the minutes.
I seconded Jay's motion to approve the name. I mean, not Jay.
So we had a motion to approve the
To approve
minutes,
the
and a
minutes.
motion and a
So
second.
So there's a motion on the floor, is that right?
And you were asking to change the minutes or change the name.
I'm
They're not the
certainly
same.
asking to change the name of the park from Fred Young Facility to Fred Young Park. There is absolutely no reason to change it except for the reason, as Commissioner Watson and Commissioner Alexander have been pushing to change the name where they can serve alcohol in our park system.
Mr. Chairman, I would like some proof of where I've been pushing anything. I haven't pushed an alcohol in these parks at all. We had a promoter asked a question. He asked us to investigate what it would take. We did that, gave it his due diligence, and nobody has taken a vote or even discussed this in any committee or otherwise.
Commissioner Hale.
So we're just, right now, the
We voted on
minutes,
approve the minutes.
right now, the minutes are correct because we voted to change the name to center instead of park. So as of right now, facility. So currently, the minutes are correct. If we want to carry on a conversation about changing the name back, happy to have that conversation, but I don't believe now is the appropriate time to do that.
Correct.
Is Chris, the recreation director here today?
Chris resigned a couple weeks ago.
All right, we're voting on approving the minutes. We have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
One. Moving on to item number 3, presentation by the county mayor.
Thank you, Chairman. I am pleased to welcome Madison Academic Soccer Team, state champion Madison Academic Soccer Team. Thank y'all for being here this morning. Coached by Igor Luchinsky, did I pronounce that right, guys? Okay, all right. And assistant coach Jeremy Young, I'm going to read a little bit about our Madison Academic Mustangs soccer team. After an undefeated regular season, the Mustangs made it through their district and region tournament easily, outscoring Scottsdale and Loretto, the region opponents, by a combined score of 17-1. They followed with an 8-0 win in sectionals over Republic High School from Nashville to get to the state tournament, a game in which senior Donovan Pruitt scored the 100th goal of his 3-year high school career. By the way, those 100 goals came in 3 years because of the first season, his freshman year, being cut short or not even existing because of the COVID pandemic, which shut down NCAA sports in 2020. Madison entered the state tournament with an undefeated record of 18-0-2. The Mustangs opened the state tournament with a 5-0 win over McKenzie. The next day, they defeated Gatlinburg-Pittman, the team that beat them in the championship last year, 4-0. Madison faced off against Alcoa for the TSSAA state championship on Friday, May 26, 2023. Alcoa scored first in the first half before Madison scored twice to take the lead 2-1. The Mustangs would hold that lead until Alcoa tied the game with 2 minutes remaining. Neither team scored in the 2 overtimes, pushing the game to penalty kicks. Brandon Shields of the Jackson Post writes, state championship game, overtime, everything on the line and penalty kicks. He was up next. Madison was up 3-2 in PKs and just needed one more to secure the championship over Alcoa. As Korth approached the ball, Alcoa's goalkeeper stepped early to his right, apparently anticipating a shot to that side of the net, before stopping and starting the step in the other direction. At that instant, Korth kicked the ball in the end of the net. The goalkeeper was stepping away from, giving him no chance of getting in front of it to make the save. The ball went into the corner of the net, and Korth calmly turned around to see the rest of the Mustangs running onto the field to celebrate making history. This is a season record of 21-0-3. Points for, they scored 125, points against 13. This is your Madison Academic High School Mustang state champion soccer team.
Could you block
My block is mine.
it? Yeah.
Thank you guys for being here. Congratulations. I've got one more thing I'm going to pass around, just because I found this useful. This is a first response card. This is a double-sided card that has everything from homelessness, housing solutions, transportation, food insecurity, mental, emotional, physical health, all the way to law enforcement, emergency services. I know you guys get calls about different things, and this has been a help to me. So I'm going to take as many of those as you want. I've got plenty, but I want the commissioners to have that information at the ready. So appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 4, a announcement from the chair. I got one person I'd like to recognize, our own Sarah McLean. She achieved from the University of Tennessee honors of Certified Public Administrator at a Cape Town event May the 10th through the 12th. Stand up, Sarah. This is a unique program that offers a broad continuum of training to county officials and employees to provide them with the knowledge and service to serve their citizens. It's a great honor. Anybody can do it. I'm glad you chose to do it, sir. Thank you. Announcement from the school superintendent? No announcement. All right, sir.
Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Black.
Mr. Chairman, we have here President Mr. Pete Johnson, Chair of the Madison County Board of Education. And one of the reasons that I ran was that I'm ardent supporter of public education. And I'd like to thank the board for the leadership that you provided for the board. Some of us have short memories and selective memory. A few years back, this board was dysfunctional, very dysfunctional, to the point that it was an embarrassment. Yeah. But under your leadership and your chairmanship, this board has displayed great strides in improving our education system, and we appreciate your leadership. Also like to commend you on extending an extension to our superintendent. And to you, Dr. King, I would like to say that there are those of us in this commission who believe that you are truly an outstanding superintendent. You have some eyes on you. You have intellect, you have intelligence, you have insight, you have innovation, but above all, you have integrity. And I appreciate you for that. This body funds the school system, approves money. And the budget you presented, in my opinion, is reasonable. The things you request are based on the fact that you know what our educational system needs, and the leaders in the educational system know what they need. And everything that you're presenting to this body is for the benefit of our children and those who educate our children. And I appreciate you for that. I know, I'm gonna get a little biblical on you. There were naysayers for Nehemiah when he wanted to build the wall. You had Sanballat and you had Tobiah. You had all naysayers. You had other naysayers. But you have brought this system to a point now where we're moving forward, and I appreciate that. And those of us in this body, there are those of us in this body who do support you. Yes. And I'd like to say that we need to get out of this mindset, Mr. Chairman, of one or two commissioners thinking that they speak for the whole body. I'm not here speaking for the whole body, I'm speaking from my perspective. And I just want you to know there are those of us in this body that support you, the work that you're doing, and I encourage you to press on, and we support you. A few of us do. Yeah.
Item number 6, report from the Chamber of Commerce.
I'm Stan.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to also, I apologize for being late, but I would also like to tell you how much I appreciate you as superintendent. You've been doing a lot of things to turn around. I support you for all of this, and I know you have the best interests for our kids. That's all I have to say. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, there's one thing I would point out also. The superintendent did submit this budget, but to my knowledge, it was presented with the unanimous approval from our school board members. 9 members selected for the whole county here in Madison County. And certainly we need to support the school board and our superintendent.
Item number 6, report from Jackson Chamber of Commerce. Here it comes.
Good morning, everybody. I got a busy list here, so I'm gonna try and make my way through it as quick as I can, but it's been a busy month. It's been a lot of busy months, and so happy to be here this morning and give you guys an update on how things are going. In the last month, we added Logan McCoy as our Vice President of Existing Industries, and that's huge for us because Logan is coming on to take care of the people who have gotten us to the dance. And so with Blue Oval City coming, that's a fantastic thing, but we need to remember that there's a lot of industries who have been here and will continue to be here afterwards. And so his role and function is to help them in any way that he can. Additionally, speaking of existing industries, we had a 20-year celebration with Toyota this past week. And for the school board, they gave $20,000 to Jackson-Madison County Schools, showing their support of the school system and how that they want to encourage the growth within our community. They've been a great partner with us for all that time. Also, we had 6K groundbreaking and celebration last week, and that would not have happened without Mayor Massey and Bart Walls cleaning up to make sure that that ground was ready. Thank you guys so much for that. Again, that's a 50-acre project, $250 million and 230 jobs. So a big endeavor that's coming to the area. We're happy to have 6K coming. Small Business of the Month was Woodstock Bakery. I tell you this twofold. One, go stop by, get you this little sweet treat from the Small Business of the Month, but also we're doing a Small Business of the Month. So if you know of any small businesses, please encourage them to apply. We'd love to honor them and thank them for what they do for our community. Small businesses are a huge impact on our local community. We'd love to celebrate them. We also completed our airport survey, which was interesting. We have over a potential for 180 flights per week to Detroit. That's something that we're sharing with the airport and walking through that with them. It is interesting because it's no longer an exit off the highway that gets you to Jackson. It may be the exit is the airport, or the on-ramp is the airport. So that is something that we're working through with them and trying to share that data with them. And then lastly, progress continues to be made on the workforce development building at Jackson-Madison, at Jackson State. So we're very happy to have that. They are in the park now where they're working with architects and getting that drawn up. So again, a busy month. Happy to be here though today.
Thank you very much,
sir.
Appreciate it. Good report. Item number 7, report from Laura Nunley. Hi, Laura.
Good morning. A couple things going on this week that you need to be aware of. Just over the past weekend, we had the West Tennessee Healthcare Sportsplex, had well over 100 teams, and 20 of those teams were from out of state. So that's a significant impact on us. So if you were trying to find a hotel this weekend, you probably had some difficulty because our contestants for the Miss Volunteer America pageant, which is a national pageant, there are 51 contestants, started arriving on Friday. Most of them checked in on Saturday. They'll be here to the following, checking out on Sunday. So that is the largest event that we have in Madison County. We estimate their economic impact of that pageant alone, and remember there are 3 with that system that are here in Jackson. That pageant alone is over $4 million on our community. So if you see a queen, hug them. Well, maybe not, but just thank them for coming to Jackson. And be sure to thank Allison Alderson DeMarcus because this is her baby and she has created this, and we're excited about what's going on. So we've had the sports flex, we have the pageant going on this week. Other things to know about, I'm really thrilled that TCAT in Madison County is going to be doing a retail and hospitality training program. You know, the college path is not the path for everyone. So we're very excited that they're going to be expanding this program. They've already had it in Henderson County, but they are starting one here in Madison County. So we're very thrilled about that because there are wonderful opportunities for students, for folks in the hospitality industry. We're continuing to see a growth, hotel motel tax collection wise. I would think this month, we were down slightly in April, but overall, we're still up considerably against forecast. So things are going well for us. We still need attractions developed. We've got a lot of hotels in the pipeline, and we've got to give people things to do when they're here. So be thinking about that, and if you know of anyone, please refer them to our office. Thank you.
Any questions for Laura? Thank you very much. Item number 8, report from Karen Bell, Finance Director.
Finance report year-to-date, where we stand. Fund balance is general fund $14,778,681.50. Our sales tax year-to-date is up 8% over prior year. As of May the 31st, revenue exceeds expenses, $1,178,593, and we've expended 80% of our budget year-to-date, so we're still projected to come in under budget. I'd also like to thank the Commission and the Financial Management Committee for allowing me to serve on the Government Finance Officers National Budget Committee. We're back in May. I had the opportunity to serve alongside 34 other individuals across the United States and Canada. Topics discussed with colleagues included rethinking how reserves are used, managing healthcare costs, which is one of the largest costs to any governmental budget, review of best practices related to fee policies, financial data transparency, and expenditure volatility and revenue stability, as well as many other topics that impact governmental entities. Most importantly, it was good to know that many of the issues we deal with in Madison County and with preparation of our budget are shared across the nation. Lastly, I would be remiss if I did not take this time to recognize this year's Budget Committee. As you prepare to discuss and vote on the Madison County budget today, please remember that a lot of time and effort, countless meetings, and thoughtful consideration went into this final product being proposed today. Not everything departments wanted could be given or allocated. However, many great things can be found within this proposed budget, including increases for employees, absorption of costs for some employee benefits, additional funding for public safety, and a focus and commitment to school safety. This group of 5 individuals, Greg Parsons, Marcus Love, Commissioner Joy Hale, Commissioner Andy Hall, and Commissioner Chairman Carl Alexander, worked hard to try to make sure every tax dollar was used as efficiently and effectively as could to achieve the goals and advancement for Madison County. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Item number 9, report from county officials, standing special committees, old business action thereof by this board. Commissioner Hale.
Yes, sir. The Personnel Committee report, 2 things as recommendations from the committee. The first one is the lift gym membership contract. We voted to not renew that. I'll bring the full recommendation here in a second. After looking at it, and I just want to applaud our Deputy Mayor and HR Director through all this, that she's been able to bring the data to the Personnel Committee that allowed us to make the best decisions to recommend to the full body. We were seeing, I think 90 of our employees had gym memberships at the lift, and 25 of them, of those 90 were attending. So we didn't feel like that was a fair use across all county employees. And so we're making a recommendation for a new gym membership reimbursement program where the employee is reimbursed $15 per month for a gym membership at any gym. And that would be effective June 30th or July 1. So that comes as a committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
The second is the dental rates increase will be absorbed by the county and not passed on to the employees. This was a recommendation. We looked at the number and it was around $7,000 and felt like it was one small thing we could continue to do to take some of the burden of the increased cost of healthcare off our employees. And so this comes as a committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Thank you.
Commissioner Alexander.
Yes, property committee met, and y'all should find a document passed out to y'all on a non-exclusive lease agreement for the auditorium over on Parkview or Parkway, and it was the committee's recommendation to adopt that.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Any other? Mr. Wall.
Got a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. The Rules and Bylaws Committee had met a couple of weeks ago, and we have some changes for the rules regulating the procedures of the Board of County Commissioners. This was sent out to all commissioners, but I'm going to go over each of the changes so we can vote on them here. These are committee recommendations. Rule 4, under C. Charlie, number 1, subsection 1, it talks about speaking by non-commission members. Any person who is not a commission member may request to be recognized by the commissioner to speak for or against an issue on the agenda. One or more persons may speak, but each side shall be limited to a total of 3 minutes. This change, this is a change from 5 minutes to 3 minutes on section 4C, subsection 1. That's committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Brown.
If we're gonna allow 2 to 3 people to speak, especially the kind of issues that people normally speak on, and issues, the Beach Bluff, chicken farm, the solar system, that is suggested that a person, if they're gonna bring information, they would have roughly a minute or half a minute each to speak, and I don't think that would be appropriate for people who are not professional speakers.
Then you say 3 minutes per person.
3 minutes.
3 minutes per person.
Okay, 3 per person.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Subsection 2, 4C Charlie, subsection 2, a public comment period shall be reserved on the agenda, providing the public with an opportunity to comment on matters related to the items on the agenda for the meeting. The public comment period shall be limited to 30 minutes. Speakers shall comply with the following rules. A, remarks shall be limited to 3 minutes unless time is extended by the commission. B, each person speaking shall state his or her name, address, and subject of presentation. C, delegations must select only one individual to speak on their behalf unless otherwise determined by the commission. D, remarks must pertain to matters on the agenda for the meeting at which the person wishes to speak. E, persons speaking shall not be allowed to interrogate members of the commission. F, persons speaking shall not engage in personal attacks. G, the commission chairperson shall have the authority to terminate the remarks of any individual who is disruptive or does not adhere to the commission rules. H, members of the commission may have the privilege of asking questions of any person who addresses the commission. Number 3, a member of the public must submit a written request with descriptive materials to the commission chairperson no less than 2 working days before the meeting at which he or she wishes to speak. This information must be approved by the commission chairperson. Number 4, members of the public seeking to appear before a committee of the commission for public comment must submit a written request with descriptive materials to the committee chairperson at least 2 working days before the committee meeting. This information must be approved by the committee chairperson. The same rules stated in paragraph 4, C, and 2 shall apply to public comment before any committee of the commission. This is a committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any comments?
I asked, I have no objections to this. I have just a few questions in regard to this. I was told that this was taken kind of, they looked at the school board public comment section, kind of, looked at that, and that's drafted like that. The only thing I want to ask is if a person wanted to speak on something other than what's on the agenda. Because normally with the school board, if you want to speak on something, you have to submit something before so many days, and you can speak on it, whether it's on the agenda or not. The night on Thursday is the public comment, and you sign in. You don't have to give notes. So I like to, is it addressed in there in regard to something you may want to speak on, you have a concern about, even 48 hours before, if it's not on the agenda, because they may not even know what's on the agenda. Because half the time we don't know what's, let me say that. That's all I want to know.
The committee addressed it, Mr. Chairman, and the rules of the school board was actually looked at, and most of these were adopted based on those rules.
Committee recommendation.
I just want to add, I'm on the committee and we discussed this, and so we still have the option to recognize any constituent, and it's my understanding under a different rule that they could speak on whatever at the full meeting like as we are now. So we were advised by state law from our attorney that we had to do this because the state legislature said we have to provide public comment not only for where we are now, but in every committee that we meet. So this is something we had to do, and it's like he said, the school board had some rules. We used 95% of that. We had to change some of the language, so it's pretty much similar.
I went on that.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes. Jay, you had to work overtime. Did the discussion give a consent definition of what is meant by the commissioners can ask questions, but the citizen cannot interrogate? I want a distinction between interrogating and questioning.
Sure. Well, again, the committee used the guidelines that were on the school board's website to come up with this rule. We thought that the committee thought that it made a lot of sense for the commission's rules on public comment to match what the school system already had in place for their board meetings. My interpretation of interrogate means that if someone wants to come and speak during public comment, they can't point out an individual commissioner and start questioning them about their position on a certain issue, that sort of thing. But if there's someone speaking on an issue on the agenda and they're bringing some information before the board and there's members that have questions about that, then certainly commissioners can ask questions of those who are coming in to make public comment. So it's really a way to protect the commissioners from having someone who maybe doesn't like them come in and try to attack them during the public comment period.
Okay, my only concern was that if a citizen said something that a commissioner didn't like, because we often use that term, I don't like that, that you cannot shut them up or put them out.
Right. Unless they are being disruptive or breaking the rules of the commission in some way, then they are allowed to speak for 3 minutes during the public comment period, assuming they followed the rules and submitted what they wish to talk about and any descriptive materials that they plan to offer 2 working days before that meeting.
Thank
you. Mr. Allison.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I need some clarification. This is a public hearing meeting, right?
I thought it looks like it to me.
I guess my understanding from what I just heard, if an individual come here to this meeting and something come up on this agenda that they are not aware of and want to speak on it, they cannot speak?
What the statute that was passed by the state legislature, which requires a public comment period before all public meetings starting July 1st, gives a public body the ability to put restrictions on that comment period. And so we adopted similar restrictions to what the school board already has in place through the Rules and Bylaws Committee, and it's for this body to approve. But yes, if someone wanted to speak on an item that's on the agenda, they have to present to the commission chairman 2 working days before the meeting, what they wish to speak on and provide any materials that they wish to present, and they'll be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes. And that time can be extended if the commission wishes as well. That's in the rules. But no, someone can't just show up unannounced and under these rules and be able to speak on an item on the agenda unless they're recognized by their commissioner. Now, we do have a rule that's been in our rules and bylaws for a number of years that allows you as a commissioner to recognize one of your constituents and give them an opportunity to speak on an issue that's on the agenda. So that doesn't change.
And that always applies there. So if someone came here in your district,
It's gotta be your district.
speak towards any issue, you recognize them, they can speak.
I guess my concern is that the public doesn't get these agendas. I don't get them. You always send them to me. So how can they know what's on the agenda to speak on if they don't have the agenda?
Mr.
I don't get
Chairman, that's part of the statute. These folks have talked about that.
I mean, I'm a commissioner, I don't get the agenda, why?
I don't know why you don't get it. We've talked about that so many times. I don't know why you don't get it. Because you won't give us the correct email address so we can
I
see.
give you my email address.
Commissioner Godwin.
I just want to say, the exception though to the school board is on Thursday night. When a person comes, they sign a roster if you want to speak. And then that roster is taken up and taken to Mr. Johnson. And then he called according, so they don't give notice. So that's the difference, you know. I don't know if that's on the website, but that's the difference. But everything else is just like you said, okay? I just want to clarify
All right.
that.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Aday.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Alexander.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes. Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Bryant.
Yes.
Bryant Mike.
Yes.
Teaton.
Yes.
Ellison.
No.
Godwin.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Hill.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Mercer.
No.
Montague.
Yes.
Neoff.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Tippit.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Anybody want to change their vote? 22 yeses, 3 noes,
0 absent.
0 absent. Motion passes.
Okay, rule number 5 in our commission rules and bylaws, 5G as in golf. Agenda to commission members. The only thing that is added to this at the end of subsection 5G is the agenda shall be made available to the public by posting on the county website at least 48 hours before the commission meeting date. It's committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? Commissioner Brown.
Mr. Chairman, again, I just can't find common sense in that. People work, they have lives. If they hear something important 48 hours beforehand, how can they expect to react and change their schedule and make a meeting where something is important to them? I think that period of time is far too short.
Again, the committee looked at state statute, and this is where all of this is coming from, and we're just following state statute from that perspective.
Point of order. I keep hearing reference to state statute. We as a body have an obligation, have the privilege and the prerogative to adopt rules that meets the need of our people. The state didn't elect us. We don't represent the state. And I keep hearing this as an excuse and a bailout because it's the law of a lot of things that we break here. The thing is, yes, the thing is that 48 hours for anybody who really want me to be anywhere is not enough notification to be given me. That's what I'm saying. And that does not make sense to me.
Mr. Arnold.
Yeah, I would feel much better if that was 10 days, just like the commission members get it. Everybody needs to be notified. In fact, the commission meetings usually take place on a Monday, so this could be put in the newspaper, I guess, on Friday or Saturday. That's a weekend, people are out doing different things. I would make a motion that there'd be 10 days before the meeting.
Second. You made a motion and a second.
We already got
His motion is.
motion to amend.
Yes.
I second.
If that was, did y'all put that on the floor as a motion?
Well, I need to explain something too. This is just for the website. We already have in 5H and in other places, a copy of the agenda is going to be going out into the general public 7 days before the commission is to meet. If requested, there's other places where we actually put the commission. This was just for the website.
Can we explain one thing too? We're not trying to prevent anyone from speaking. This body has always allowed anyone to speak who comes, who wants to speak. So this is not doing anything that's going to change any of that.
I withdraw that motion.
Why?
Well, it seems logical to me if you're gonna put it on the website 48 hours and we get it 10 days, why can't you put it on the website 10 days out when the agenda is complete? What's the problem with that? Even though it's specific to the website, if the agenda is done, seems like it could be put on the website at the period of time that it's completed.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Mr. Abney.
Is this just for the monthly meeting agenda? Is this also for committee agendas? I'm just trying to clarify.
This is committee, the commission.
Just because
Yeah.
the state statute was that every public meeting has to have an agenda 48 hours prior.
That's correct. State law's been changed to require the Open Meetings Act that all public meetings must post and it doesn't say on the website, it says post 48 hours before an agenda. So posting could mean putting it on a bulletin board at the courthouse. The committee wanted to post on the county website. Now, it can be 10 days before, 7 days before, whatever this body wants, but by state law, it has to be at least 48 hours before, and that's why it says that.
That's my question. So this rule is for every public meeting that the county has, correct?
That's correct.
So not every committee is going to have an agenda 7 or 10 days prior, but if we have it, we can put it up whenever we have it, correct?
Right.
But this rule is saying that it has to be 48 hours because that's the new state statute.
Right, I mean, this right here specifically, and let me look at it real quick, it is referring to the agenda to commissioner members for the county commission meeting, so.
Any meeting.
But it does apply to all committee
All
meetings.
committee meetings.
So
Because this is more transparent than we've been in the past, because.
That's correct.
That's the way we used to be.
Because the committees have not posted agendas for
Correct.
their meetings, so this is more transparent than we've done in the past. We can put it on as early as we have it, but this is saying that committees have to have it minimum of 48 hours.
Mr. Neal.
I think the concern that no one's actually spoke is if, for say, constituent A wanted to speak on something and it's posted 48 hours, and they're supposed to give notice 48 hours, that gives them no time to submit to speak. Am I wrong? That's what I'm hearing, and that's what seems to be the concern from the members of our body. And it may be wise to move that a little bit. I think in the committee, I'll just speak from someone who's been, there was a lot more work put on her plate, so we were just concerned with giving her more work. Ms. McLean has done a lot in the last year.
But it doesn't prevent them from speaking.
Right, but that's just what I'm hearing. I just wanted to point that out.
Mr. Godwin.
You know, when I ran for office, I ran, one of the things I asked for a public meeting. And actually, this is not something we asked for. This is something the state is asking for. So that doesn't mean some of us like it or don't like it. We're going to have to follow it. But the 48 hours does not necessarily mean it has to be there. That's the at least amount. So if we want to say 10 days, we can. What is the problem with us wanting to say 5 for people, the taxpayers. I don't understand what's the problem.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes. Appreciate your comments so much. The average citizen is just like many of us, we were before we got on the commission, perhaps, or as citizens. When they get information, they have to process it, they have to research to understand it. Yes, and the thing is that don't let that be on a Thursday or Friday. You know, who do they call? The computer gives you only so much, so much. So again, in 48 hours, there isn't very much. Again, there isn't very much as valuable to a person who want to represent themselves or what their values and principles are.
Commissioner Hale.
So if we remember our role, people, process, policy, right? This is a policy that's going to drive a process. And as we know, local government is very, very efficient at everything it does, right? It's not slow at all. And what we're trying to say is the shall may be made available, making it a requirement at least 48 hours. We should put it out as soon as we have it. And I think the process, we're trying to give ourselves enough time to be able to call a committee meeting 4 days in advance, 5 days in advance. You know, the notice, we try to do 72 hours. The law requires reasonable notice, but we're actually putting an hours to it now. So 48 hours is the least. We can still get it out sooner and attach it sooner, or if it's 10 days available. We can do better than the minimum. We're just saying this is our minimum for emergency meetings and whatnot. This is going to restrict our ability to meet quickly. And so I would call the question. My motion is to call the question to vote on this.
Question's been called. Have a second?
A second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well, I'm not standing. You can stand there.
He called for the question. We got a second. We voted yes. Debate ceases.
It should not though. You call it opposite.
Maybe it shouldn't, but it is.
Committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Abernathy.
Pass.
Day.
Are we voting for the 48?
That's a better one, yes.
I mean, it's been, you got so many things going on, let's clarify.
5G, what's 5G? The agenda shall be made available to the public by posted on the county website at least 48 hours of commission
Yes.
meeting date.
Yes.
Alexander.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Black.
No.
Bond.
Yes.
Brown.
No.
Bryant.
Pass.
Bryant. Mike.
Yes.
Dick.
Yes.
Ellison.
I'm not going to.
Godwin. Ma'am. Thank you. Hill.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Jones.
Pass.
Martin.
No.
Mercer.
No.
Montague.
No.
Neoff.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Tippit.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
What I hear, Mr. Chairman?
15 yeses, 6 noes, 4 passed. Motion passes.
Next change was in Rule 6, 6A is an atom, subsection 6. Once approved by the commission, this is the minutes of the commission. Once approved by the commission, minutes from the commission meetings shall be posted on the county website. Committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Excess resale met this month, and we have 3 properties to take up. 444 North Hayes Avenue to Jason Wilson for $1,000. Committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
127 Middle Avenue to Jason Wilson, $1,000. Committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? None.
128 Middle Avenue, Jason Wilson, $1,250. Committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? None. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Commissioner Alexander.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Highway Committee, we met last Thursday. We have a recommendation, and I think Bart's going to speak on that about an agreement with Montgomery County.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner. Montgomery County Highway Superintendent contacted me a couple months ago and asked about the possibility of our highway department bringing a piece of equipment and a worker up to their county to, I guess, demonstrate this piece of equipment. It's a piece of equipment we bought a couple years ago called an asphalt zipper. Apparently they're considering purchasing one of their own, and they wanted to kind of try it out and see how it works. So I told them that I would be fine with sending one employee and that piece of equipment up there for a day or two, as long as they provided all the materials and the other manpower needed to operate the piece of equipment and reimbursed us for our time in the rental. So be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? None.
One more issue that we met on, and it got omitted from the report last month, was the Youth Town road closure. There's Youth Town had requested the road that comes through the property of Youth Town be closed, and the committee did recommend that. That also came as a recommendation from the outer region as well.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? None.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other reports? Item number 10, report from the county mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to echo what the chamber said. We had 6K in this week for a groundbreaking at their property out by the airport. Governor Lee was here, Tennessee ECD Commissioner McWhorter was here. And I do want to say a special thank you to Bart and to Sheriff Weiser and his team for getting that area cleaned up. Governor comes to town, we want to put a good face up, so we did. Also want to thank publicly the farmer, Ken Couch, for mowing the property, about half of it, to make sure that the bugs were kept down and we were able to get out to that spot to have that groundbreaking. That's a $250 million project. That's 230 very high-paying jobs. They make cathode material for batteries. It'll be the first stateside battery production plant in the world. So the rest of them are in China or elsewhere. So we're bringing that back to the States and starting in the state of Tennessee. Very proud of that. And I'd also like someone to suspend the rules to take up our 3-star certification. I think Ms. Bell has some information on that. This came to my attention about 2 weeks ago. It needs to be done by the end of July. Since we don't have a July meeting, we need to take it up today. Just to give you some background, 3-star is a strategic community development program developed to assist communities in preparing for a better future. It's based on annual documentation of local activity, evaluation of biennial participation, and coordinated local stakeholder goals and activity planning. This comes with a $25,000 bonus from CDBG if we want to participate in this program for some economic development. And it also, there's a calculation, it gives us a 4% discount when calculating basically our sites versus other sites. So this has been passed the last 2 years. I'd like it to be done again this year. We're going to have to suspend the rules to take up this one piece.
Make a motion to suspend.
Have a motion to suspend the rules, have a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? None.
Motion will need to state that to pass the 3-star, allow me to sign and send it back to the state of Tennessee.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second. Motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? None.
Thank you, Chairman. That's all.
Item number 11, any amendments or transfers to the general fund, school department, capital projects, highway department, debt service, and juvenile court service for fiscal year 2022 to 23. Commissioner Alexander.
All right, let's start off with the school amendments. Again, item 1, $7,300. This is for early childhood education amounts needed to project the salaries and benefits for closing out fiscal year 23.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Number two, $1,630,500, regular instruction amounts needed for projected salaries, benefits, and expenditures in order to close out fiscal year 23.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item three, $157,000, vocational educational program amounts needed for projected salaries and benefits and expenditures in order to close out fiscal year 23.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item four, $10, attendance amounts needed for projected salary amounts in order to close out fiscal year 23.
You say $10?
$10.
Committee recommendation, no second required. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item five, $22,100, special ed program amounts needed for projected salary, benefits, and expenditures to close out fiscal year 23.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item six, $84,000, technology amounts needed for expenditures in order to close out fiscal year 23.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item seven, $8,650, director of school amounts needed for projected salaries, benefits, and expenditures in order to close out fiscal year 23.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item eight, $120, operations of plant amounts needed for projected salary, benefits, and expenditures in order to close out fiscal year 23.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Number nine, $16,000, maintenance of plant amounts needed for projected salary, benefits, and expenditures in order to close out fiscal year 23.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 10, $1,550, community services, $73,300.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 11, $367,071.50, early childhood education.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Pardon me. Number 12, $241,975.42. This is for the LEAPS program, does not equal, because revenue was not in munis. Total revenue expenditures will be $236.42 after this is posted.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 13, $38,750, Safe Schools transfer to cover increased total of local retirement and administrative equipment.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 14, $239,220.18. This is for the summer learning camps, new funds.
Committee recommendation, no second required. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 15, $1,318,943.69, summer learning camps, new funds.
Committee recommendation, no second required. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
That takes care of all the school system ones. We'll move to the county side now. Item 16 has changed, so it's not going to be a committee recommendation. The amount has changed on that. It was for the jail. The amount is $1,800,627.59. That's for building construction for jail. It's closing that out.
Second.
It's not a committee recommendation because the amount had changed from what the committee had originally.
Got you. Have a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Thank you, Joe. Item 17 is General Sessions, Division 2, $1,333. This is coming from the general fund. This is for cleaning up year-end adjustments.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
18 is the Health Department, Local Direct, $6,200, requesting money from fund balance to cover the estimated year-end total for employees and dependent insurance and part-time salary line items.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
19 is Juvenile Court Services, $88,860. Request for year-end cleanup and adding to the VOCA grant increase to revenue and expenditures.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Number 20, Solid Waste Convenience Centers, $24,600. Requesting money from fund balance to cover overtime pay for truck driver and requesting money from recycling to cover equipment line.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
21 is Highway, $2,870. Year-end to adjust overages and salary, fringe benefit lines.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Let's see. 22, I think we're at. 22 year-end, various departments, $68,220.57. This is year-end to adjust overages and salary and fringe benefits lines.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
23 is general year-end, various departments, $434,960.80. This is again to adjust overage and salary and fringe benefit lines.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
24 is general year-end, various departments, $40,797.10. This is to adjust overages and salary and fringe benefit lines.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
25, county attorney, $15,975.50 to adjust overages and year-end line item.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
26 is juvenile court services, $2,204.20 to adjust overages and salary and fringe benefit line.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
27, solid waste, $1,876.08, year-end to adjust overages and salary and fringe benefit lines.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Following three are insurance recovery items. EMA disaster relief, $108,909.06. This is for disaster relief reimbursement.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
29 Sheriff's Department, $3,552.96. Funds are for reimbursement from Madison County EMA to Madison County Sheriff's Office travel training for training for sheriff employee. This does not affect the county fund balance.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
30 is the Sheriff's Department, $46,772.89. Funds are reimbursement from Jackson-Madison County School System for overtime for Madison County Sheriff's School resource officers and working special events.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Following were transfers, 31 Sheriff's Department, $87,880.81, special purpose. Funds are being moved from the mental health transport grant to reimburse cost of deputies, law enforcement equipment, vehicle maintenance, gasoline, travel training for items covered under the grant, no effect on the county fund balance.
Committee recommendation, no second required. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
32, Sheriff's Department, $863,975. Budget amendment to correct munis, entered the entire 3 years instead of fiscal year '23.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
33, Health Department, WIC, $200, transferring from other salaries and wages to overtime pay.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Last one I have for you is 34, General Sessions Division 2, $6,500, adding $6,500 to the Access and Visitation Grant in revenue and $500 in the other contracted services expenditures due to increase in grant. This will bring the revenue and expenditures in line.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Mr. Chairman, we have received the school board budget came back. It is different than the one that the budget committee did approve. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that we send that budget back to the school system.
Have a motion to send the school budget back to the school.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any discussion?
I'd like to question why.
We do need, what is the part we send it back? That's what
Contained $1.2 million in ed capital that was taken out of that to use in place of the putting SROs in all the schools.
Why don't you restate what the budget committee approved?
The budget committee approved maintenance of effort and no ed capital for the school system this year.
$900,000 for the SRO.
Yes.
Goes to Sheriff. Commissioner Brown.
Yes. I attended a couple of school board meetings when almost that specific amount is applicable to laptops. 2023, one of the most valuable teaching and learning tools that schools need and require. If county commissioners feel that worthy for laptops, why would our children not be worthy of it? Secondly, is that it seems pretty apparent that the application is that we are picking what commission we do or do not like what the school board should not do. According to the state law, the school board set the budget. The legislative body or its designated committee have the right to question, fund, but you don't decide. There's nobody on this commission knows more about what the school board did to get out of the gutter to where it is now than those dedicated people on that school board. Nobody knows the needs of that school board better. That's why they're elected. They are charged with as great and as noble a charge as anybody in here. And I always have problems when we have uninformed people arbitrarily making decisions when they are going to give a cost of something, but they don't know the price of it. It will cost us a lot more if those laptops are not there, and that's just about the same amount of money.
Commissioner Brett, I think the budget committee made a choice. They chose safety over computers.
They don't have the choice. I mean, they don't have the
choice.
Excuse me. You're questioning me. I'm speaking.
I beg your pardon.
Thank you. They don't have the right to choose what the school boards feel is necessary to run an efficient school system. That's the problem. They're taking too many prerogatives. We are not the school board. And the law, if you don't know the law, Tennessee Code annotated 49-2-30301 specifically tells us that. And we need to abide by the law.
Ms. Godwin.
Again, tell the superintendent he's doing a great job. maintenance of effort, 48.1. We're funding that. That's something we're gonna have to fund anyway. That's no alternative but to fund MOE. Other than that, what else are you doing funding the superintendent? I heard someone say, well, the sales tax. That ain't got nothing to do with the budget. So if you're telling me the only thing you're gonna recommend to the superintendent is the MOE, which is, we're gonna get that anyway. Let's be real. I done spent all weekend thinking I was supposed to have taken a test and made a 90 and come to find out, they tell me at the last minute that I hadn't. That's what I've been doing, taking 200 hours past. And I read the law in regard to how they let local government operate somewhat. And so, but the point is, the sheriff asked for $900,000, and I understand we do need those. But at the same time, the teachers, those computers are for the teachers. And I would also like to add, since Mr. Alexander, you was calling off everybody that went training and all of this, and cost a lot of money for training. So please get off the superintendent's case about him taking, and what this was the board that went off and took trips, to education trips. Like, we gotta go off and take education trips. So we need to, watch what we say.
Mr. Black.
Again, I think it's a reasonable budget. I don't know why it wanted to be sent back. I remember at one of the budget hearings, there was discussion and the superintendent was there explaining about the laptops, and the committee took a vote that 1.2, they would agree that would go toward the laptops. Am I not mistaken on that?
There was a vote taken.
There was a vote taken, and it was positive, it was approved.
On an unofficial budget.
But still, nevertheless, the sentiment there was that was something that was necessary. I've spoken with several teachers who have laptops that are old, that are cracking, and it amazes me that if we are not concerned with providing our teachers with the adequate things that they need, because who does it benefit? It benefits all of the children in the school system. I think this is just ridiculous. I'm going to state it as it is, Mr. Chairman. This is ridiculous. That's a reasonable request. An autonomous body, separate from this body, approved their budget, present it to us, and we want to send it back. It appears to me that there may be something else going on here, and I think it's despicable. It's time for this community and this commission to understand that at this juncture in this community, our school system needs our support with additional funding, not just the maintenance level. Let's get real. The future of this community depends on our children getting educated properly and having the necessary tools. Public education is one of the greatest things that have happened to this country. Public education has moved people from poverty to different levels in this society. And we need to stop this stuff and begin to really understand that if we really support education, fund it.
Mr. Abernathy.
So I think my biggest concern, I just want to say, I think this budget issue has devolved into a PR battle with messaging that sells really well and is understandable to most people, which is a simplistic message of who's the villain and who's the hero. But I've been to every meeting during this budget process, and I think the hard reality is that it's not as glamorous as having a hero and having a villain. There's a lot of change going on right now. Even at the state level, we've got a brand new funding formula. We've got budgets that have relied on COVID relief money that we're having to transition out of relying on COVID relief money. We've got a limited pot of capital needs. My kids I might be the only or one of the only commissioners who sends kids into the public school classrooms every day. I care about public education. And so I reject the narrative that this vote determines whether you support it or don't support it. My kids go to school every day in a public school. The most important thing to me is that they come home alive at the end of the day. So I support funding for SROs in the school building, especially after this year. And the state has not made it clear how much or how they're going to support that. And so I do want my kids to come home alive at the end of the day. The biggest thing that I want to say is that this vote is not a litmus test for whether or not we support public education. We're doing the best we can with the information that we have. And so I just want to say I will forever be a champion of the public school system. My kids are there, I've got skin in the game. But there's a lot more at play than just whether or not we support it. So that's what I have to say.
Commissioner Taylor.
I'd like to clarify one thing. The sheriff did not request these funds. I made the motion in capital because I feel like the safety and security of our faculty and students is utmost important. I'm not saying that new laptops for teachers are not important, but we have a shooting at least once a week in Jackson now. That's going to make it to our public schools in some form eventually. We need officers there to protect these schools and make them safe. So I wanted to clarify that the sheriff was not involved in this.
Commissioner Martin.
Thank you, Chairman. I support the sheriff with the SO all officer, but I also feel like that the teacher needs the laptop. The school board, back to September, I believe it was 9090 whatever. I feel like that the school board know what the school system needs better than what we do. I feel like we need to stay in our lane and let them stay in their lane. I believe if we really want to support the school system, that we can find $1.2 million. Yep, Chairman, we can find it. We have to look, maybe cut something here, cut something there, but if we are totally committed to the school system, we can do both.
Commissioner Goblin.
I support Sheriff. And I was in the committee meeting when he did talk about the grant and the $900, and he did not request it, but he did make aware that the $900,000 was needed for their uniforms and all of that. But I also support the computers. I've been in the school system now a good time. I'm a parent, a grandparent. I have grandkids in the system. I worked in the system, and I know it's hard. You know, you need a computer, and I feel the same way in regard to the fact that if we could find $900,000, we could find that money that he needed. He needed $1.2 million. So still, you subtracted that from $900,000 and put that money somewhere else. You could have offered that different, and you found the money for other projects. Because when I was in the meeting, we was $4 million behind in the hole. But yet we balanced the budget, and so I see some faces. But I'm just gonna say it's found in our heart to help support each other. You know, we all in this together. We can't operate, and I'm not trying to fuss, but we can't operate alone. So, you know, we got people looking at us. And I know all y'all care about public. I would hope you care about public education. So, because I think the majority of you may have come from public education, even if some of you came from private. Our kids are very important. So I just wish we would find in our hearts support. It went in the budget. It was in the capital meeting. You know, I was sitting in that meeting when y'all, you know, but at the same time, please support our superintendent.
Commissioner Arnold.
Mr. Chairman, first thing that comes to my mind, a duly appointed committee from this body, the Budget Committee, initially gave approval to this budget. 5 people, I understand, all 5 were in favor of it. At some point, it changed for some reason. The safety part, Dr. King, what are your plans if this doesn't pass? Will officers still be at schools?
Currently,
currently we have support specialists and safety, security that are supporting our elementary schools, but officers still will be in our middle schools and high schools that we already currently have.
Okay. If any of you all have been in schools or school activities over the past couple of years, especially this past year, Dr. King is taking care of the safety part as much as anybody could. You can't go into the school. You can't walk up, go in the door without school being admitted without going through the proper process. Go to a school activity, same thing. His top priority, and I think is his top priority since he's been here, is safety. Of course, I know academics is right at the top also, so many other things, but top priority is safety. We don't need to be trying to take the safety thing away from him. He is doing the job. He's doing much better than we could ever think about doing. We need to give that some thought. I don't doubt for 1 minute that Dr. King's going to take care of the SROs at school, whether this passes or not. But it brings up another point also. I'm not sure by law whether we or the Sheriff's Department can assign officers to a school without going through the superintendent and the school board. That's their responsibility. We don't have that responsibility. We do fund it. We need to let the school board and the superintendent take care of this.
Commissioner Ellis.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to echo some things that are already been said. The school board was elected to run the school system. We are elected to run the county. And the school board determined and make the decision on their funding. If they can verify what they need and send it to us, we are obligated to fund it. Now, it's been said that the state law was talking about the rules and regulations. State law said we're supposed to fund the school system. That's a mandate from us. And when they set us a budget, they know what they want, they give it to you in their budget, so we should accept that and fund them. Now, I hate to say it, but an alternative they have, they can sue us and get it, and we don't want to go around that lane. And if we don't fund them, I would suggest that they do that. I never hear us question anything when the attorney sends his extra funding, turn it in like he did today. We don't say anything. But we can challenge the school board. They know what they need. We don't. Thank you.
Commissioner Brown.
I just want to briefly establish 3 truths. First of all, this superintendent, this school board has saved us more money than $1.2 million. And we as a county commission get credit for lifting a school system that we have not and would not fund because we also too often do the least, whatever we can get by with. The other truth is that CSOs are not employees, never have nowhere in the country employees of a school system. They're employee of the sheriff department or whatever department that is. So from a budget standpoint, there's 2 different situations. So, we won't get hung up on that screen, that smoke screen. Lastly, why in the world would we continuously, let's look at this whole year, nitpick this school system when I'm sure that you hadn't fine-tuned the rest of the departments of this government? My Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. If I think that lowly of anybody, you better watch me.
Commissioner Neal.
Mr. Chair, I stand today, and this is a difficult process as a first-year commissioner. I'm a member of the Capital Committee. All these department heads come to our committee asking for all kinds of money. Unfortunately, in the real world, we only have so much money to disperse. So the idea that we don't support the school system because of $1.2 million is ludicrous if you vote against this. because we need fire trucks. We've got 30-year-old fire trucks serving our community. I know the capital committee made a decision to buy $1 million piece of equipment that saves people's lives on the highway. And I'm not familiar with the age of the laptops, but I do know, as a former school board member for St. Mary's, that we had computers for our teachers that were 7 to 8 years old. Now, in a perfect world, we could have, as that school board, said, well, let's buy some more. But we didn't have the money. Well, one thing that we're pledged to do is to manage the penny for the county, and we don't need to be spending money that we don't have. So, like Commissioner Abernathy said, we've got a new process. The school system's getting $25–30 million in state money. There's a bunch of money in their pot, and I'm not sure how they spend it, but there could be a way they could get it in other ways. I'm not sure. That'd be interesting to hear from Dr. King, and I did reach out to him recently to try to ask that question. Did not get a call back, but I can just say that if we, in a perfect world, we could fund all kinds of things. I think we have $4 million worth of fire equipment we need next year that we're trying to fund. That's not guaranteed. We may only get half of that. We may get zero. We have to just see. You know, we have to spend the money that the taxes bring in.
Commissioner Godwin.
This is my last time on this subject right here. I like to say again, maintenance of effort is the least thing in the things that we have to do for the school system. All my readings that I was reading with those 200 persons, they kept on saying department heads, they decide what to do with the money. You're looking at a big budget, #1 budget in this system. And yet everybody's important. That's true. But the bottom line is, are you really doing enough, as you say? Because in those meetings I was in, all I heard you talk about was the ESSER money and how much money he had he could use. And to me, when you run a professional meeting, you shouldn't be talking like that. So I think you're more concerned with, he's already said he has projects he has to do, he wants to do. Do you not want him to do that for our kids in this community? Or are you just worried about the ESSER funds?
Commissioner Martin.
Thank you, Chairman. The commission just made a great point a while ago. He said we need to fund so much. We don't have a certain amount of money. So I'm going to throw this out there. Let's do a proper tax or a real tax. Solve the problem.
We ready to vote?
Roll call.
The motion is
Solve the problem.
to vote to send the school budget back and reject it.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Thank you. Aday.
Yes.
Alexander.
Yes.
Arnold.
And that question was, we're voting to send this back to the school board? This budget, is that,
That's we voting to send it back yet.
no.
Black.
No.
Fine.
Yes.
Brown.
No, 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 no.
Bryant. Cindy.
Yes.
Bryant. Mike.
Yes.
Deaton.
Yes.
Ellison.
No.
Godwin.
No.
Hill.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Martin.
No.
Mercer.
No.
Montague.
No.
Neoff.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Tippit.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Anybody want to change their vote?
Yes, 8 no.
17 yeses, 8 no. Budget goes back to the school board.
Mr. Chairman, may I have a legal question for
Sure.
our attorney? If this matter is not dissolved, dissolved, how will it finally be solved legally?
Sure. So, at this point, what's been approved by the Budget Committee was to fund the general purpose school fund at maintenance of effort, and then fund, I think it's 177 for education capital. They voted to fund at 0. The school board submitted a budget to the commission after their meeting last week that had a education capital budget of 1.2 million, general purpose schools were the same as far as what maintenance of effort is concerned. So at this point, the commission has voted to send that back to the school board. They have 10 days under the Financial Management Act to revise their budget and send it back to the county commission. If they send back a budget that is the same as what's been approved by the budget committee, then we'll ratify the budget on June 30th. If what is sent back is different from what's been approved by the budget committee, then we'll have to go into a continuation budget. We would go back and forth until September 1st. If no agreement is reached between the county commission and the school board, then automatically maintenance of effort would go into effect.
Okay, my question was from a legal redress standpoint, because it won't stop here. It's going to end up in court or the comptroller's office. It's going to be resolved.
Well, the county commission has discretion over capital funding. That can change from year to year. The county's legal obligation is to fund the general purpose school fund at maintenance of effort, which the budget committee's approved that budget at maintenance of effort. So if the county commission and the school board don't agree on education capital, that's not something that, in my opinion, a legal action could be brought against the county, because that doesn't count against what we're obligated under state law to provide. Capital changes from year to year. One year you might be funding a school, the next year it might be school buses. So, you're dealing with, disparate amounts of money from year to year.
Are you saying that the comptroller, the state, or no court could mediate require an illegal action?
Are you saying require legal action? I'm sorry.
I say in a legal action.
I don't think the school system would bring legal action in that circumstance, and if they did, I don't think they would be successful, because the county has discretion over capital funding. Now, if the county said, we're lowering your maintenance of effort, we're lowering your funding for general purpose schools below what the state says the maintenance of effort is, yes, the school system could bring a legal action in that circumstance, but the county hasn't done that. The county's funding the school system based on what the budget committee's approved at the level the state requires. Capital, again, is separate bucket of money.
That's what I'm saying, is that if it's not solved on the county level, then what you're suggesting, but really not stating, is that at some point the state will intervene.
No, well, under state law, by September 1st, right, under state law, by September 1st, if there is not agreement between the school board and the county commission on the budget, we're not both passing the same budget, then what happens is automatically the school system gets maintenance of effort. So they're going to get what's already been approved by the budget committee by September 1st, assuming that the two bodies can't agree on education capital.
Okay.
Commissioner Bryant.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we recess until 10:13, giving us a 10-minute break.
To recess?
Recess.
Second. We have a 10-minute recess break. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Keep your seat. We're on item 12, right?
Yes, sir.
Where's everybody? Was there a line in the bathroom? Are we ready to go? Item number 12. Acceptance of Scott Gatlin's resignation from the school board, District 5, Position 2.
Motion to accept.
Have a motion? Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Item number 13, the ratification of private act, Charter 14, related to the hotel motel tax for Madison County. Jay, would you like to explain what we're doing here?
If y'all remember, several months ago, the chamber had approached us about doing a amendment to the private act for the hotel motel tax. There is a benefit in the private act for the Great Wolf Lodge, and part of that benefit required that construction begin by the end of this year. Due to certain circumstances outside our control, construction wasn't going to be able to start by the end of this year. So we were requested to amend the private act to extend that construction deadline to January 1 of 2024. That has gone before the state legislature. The amendment to the private act is passed. It's now back to us. This body has to ratify it by a 2/3 vote, and then it'll be law.
Motion to ratify?
Second. Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Item 14, a resolution to amend the official zoning map of the Madison County outer region, changing property locations from 1154 Bear Creek Road from C2 General Commercial Center District to FR Fringe Residential District, composed of 0.21 acres, 0.21 acres, more or less.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Mr. Chairman, County Commission. This item was presented to the Madison County Planning Commission, and they are recommending it to you. This is a request by the property owner to downzone their property back to fringe residential so that they can establish a home on the property.
I'll make a motion we approve.
Second. Have a motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Can I talk about those?
Yeah.
All right. There were 3 other items that were in your packet but failed to make the agenda for this meeting. The public notices went out. The public notices also appeared in the paper. But to keep from there being any confusion, Mr. Chairman has agreed to put this on the June 30th agenda for these, and I'll mention them just so, because I believe there's some people here on the Josh Lefevre rezoning. So, and that meeting will be in this room at what time?
Same time.
8:30. All right, so in this room at 8:30 on June 30th, we will hear those other 3. And the 3 are, there's 2 unimproved right-of-ways in Mercer that are clouding some property that Mercer Baptist Church is trying to consolidate. These were holdovers from when Mercer was a town. They actually platted the town and had right-of-ways established, but when the town of Mercer stopped being a town, those right-of-ways reverted to Madison County. So these are unimproved. The Madison County has on their county road list portions of these roads, but that's on the north side of 138. But on the south side are some old unimproved right-of-ways that we're wanting you to abandon so that they can go away and the church can consolidate their property and not have this cloud hanging over their property. So I will bring that back to you on June 30th. You already have it in your packet, but we will send it again just so that you have all that information. The other was a text amendment for RV parks. The inner region in Madison County has RV parks in it. The outer region did not. So we created the outer region text amendment for RV parks, and that basically is going to be a 2-step process similar to what we do with solar farms and other things. So they come to you first for recreation zoning, and then they go to the Board of Zoning Appeals for approval. The other one was rezoning on Smith Lane, and I think there's some people here concerning that. It's a rezoning to I-2, petition by Josh Lefevre to have that zoned to I-2, and that one will be presented to you again at June 30th at 8:30 in this room. That will be on that agenda, so I just wanted you to be aware of it.
Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, would it be appropriate, since our industrial partners are here to speak on that Smith Lane project, have them speak this morning so they wouldn't have to come back on the 30th? Of course, they're welcome to.
We can do that.
I just, they obviously are very busy, and we have two representatives from Pacific Manufacturing here in town that I think would like to speak on the Smith Lane project.
I'd make a motion, we allow them 5 minutes.
I'd second that.
Got to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules to allow for 5 minutes, public comment.
Second.
Can we include their comments in the minutes for this month?
Sure.
Like, with their comments in the minutes?
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Hi, I'm Renee Sis with Pacific Manufacturing, Tennessee.
Ma'am, can you come on
which is right
down?
across the street.
Come on down here. Sound travels uphill.
And your walk would not be held against your time.
I will take 5 minutes. My name is Renee Sisk, and I work for Pacific Manufacturing, Tennessee, which is right across the street from the land that is in question to be rezoned. And in all honesty, we were here, Keiko Campbell and myself were here just to get more information about what maybe the future holds for the rezoning. So we were here for more information, not necessarily to make any comments about it, but to get more information on it. Of course, we would like to see more amenities out that way. We don't have gas station, subway, or anything like that, so we would prefer to see amenities, maybe more so than manufacturing and warehousing. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay. Concerning the use, it is the I-2 is being asked for, and it's adjacent to the I-2 that's across the street. And they're planning on doing a wholesale distribution type facility. It was looked at for a manufacturing facility, but the size of the property and the depth of the property doesn't lend itself to a manufacturing facility. But because it's asking for a zone that's consistent with what's out there, we're recommending, the Planning Commission is recommending approval of it to you, but I just wanted you to be aware of that. We did have them do a traffic study to make sure that there was not any traffic implications concerning their development. And wholesale distribution, because of the way trucks come and go, staggered, they don't really have a whole lot of generation like employees, like plants do. Wholesale distribution doesn't have a lot of employees. So we did study that, and we confirmed that Smith Lane in that area is capable of handling the traffic that would be produced by this facility. So I just wanted you to be aware. And I think the amenities will come. You know, we're moving out in that direction, and I think they'll come. But the highest and best use of these tracks right now, with its proximity to the airport industrial park, is industrial.
Any questions? Thanks, Stan.
Thank you.
Item number 15, a resolution to step the speed limit on certain road in Madison County. Commissioner
This is
Alexander.
already on the agenda, so I didn't include it as part of the highway committee report, but this has to do with Claiborne Drive, and I think Bart was wanting to speak a little bit more on that.
Yeah, month before last, the Highway Committee met and approved establishing a speed limit on Claiborne Drive from Pipkin Road to Crest Ridge, a speed limit of 30 miles an hour, and from Crest Ridge to Summerfield, a speed limit of 20 miles an hour. And the reason for this establishment is due to the culvert replacement that we placed there at the road. We replaced a large culvert and had to install guardrails just for safety, and we needed to lower the speed limit along that section to 20 to allow for the guardrail installation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Item number 16, consideration possibly setting and adopting of the real property tax rate for Madison County.
That was a committee recommendation on that one as well for the
Need to
budget
read it
committee.
to us.
Let's see, I'll have to dig and find that. Karen, if you got that right off the top of your head.
Budget committee recommendation.
There we go. There. Y'all will see on the board, the penny allocations to each different department. General fund was at, was 0.93, general purpose, school, 0.14, debt service, 0.4544. That's the wrong one. Yeah.
That's last year.
That's last year.
Should have.
There we go. Now we got the right one. All right. The proposed rate that was approved was 1.07 for general fund, 0.04 for general purpose school. Debt service was down from, I think it was 50 to 0.52 last year, down to 0.4494 this year. Highway department, 0.0549. Solid waste and sanitation, 0.03. Juvenile court services, 0.0886. General capital projects was 0.1320 for a total proposed rate of 1.8736. That is the committee's recommendation.
Penny is worth what?
Penny is worth $312,000.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? No discussion. Roll call.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Aday.
Yes.
Alexander.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Brown.
Pass.
Bryant Cindy.
Yes.
Bryant Mike.
Yes.
Deaton.
Yes.
Ellison.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Hick.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Martin.
No.
Mercer.
Yes.
Montague.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. Neal.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Tippit.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Martin say no.
Martin said. What'd you say? No.
All right. That's only no I heard, but I'm not positive about that.
Change mine to yes. Change mine to yes.
What'd you have?
Yes.
Yes.
He wants yes.
Brown votes yes. Godwin votes no.
All right. I got 23.
Any other changes?
I got 23-2.
23 yeses and 2 noes. Tax rate is approved. Item number 17, consideration of possible approval of the Madison County Trustee listing of errors, double assessments, and correction of the 2021 tax roll, and amount to be filed in Chancery Court for collection to be released from the trustees of said county.
Make a motion to accept.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Number 18, consideration of possible adoption of the tentative 2023-2024 Madison County budget. That would be accepting everything with the school budget.
Committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? Commissioner Wall.
As an employee, this action creates a conflict of interest for me. Please let the record show that state law requires my declaration of this, which I've given, and also creates an exception allowing me to vote on this budget on behalf of those that I represent.
All right, sir. Commissioner Adair.
Yeah, as an employee of Madison County, it creates a conflict of interest for me to vote on this budget. Although state law recommends me to make this declaration, it also provides creates a thing for me to vote on.
Okay. Any other discussion? Commissioner Godwin.
I have indirect, I'm an employee of the school system, but I have indirect, so I can't vote.
Okay.
I'm just disclosing.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
1 no. Commissioner Mercer.
No.
Roll call.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Day.
Yes.
Alexander.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Vine.
Yes.
Brown.
Pass.
Brian Cindy.
Yes.
Brian Mike.
Yes.
Deaton.
Yes.
Ellison.
Yes.
Godwin.
No.
Hill.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Martin.
No.
Mercer.
No.
Montague.
Yes.
Neoff.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Tippit.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. That's what I heard, Mr. Commissioner.
Anybody want to change their vote?
22 yes.
22 yeses and 3 noes. The tentative budget is approved. Item number 19. Consideration of resolution to approve lease agreement with Henderson, Tennessee for Madison County Department of Community Corrections. Commissioner Alexander.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we take 19, 20, and 21 together because they're all the same.
19, 20, 21 what?
19, 20, and 21.
All right, have a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. We're taking 19, 20, and 21.
Make a motion, we approve.
Have a motion to approve. Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. 22, appointment of 8 members to the Municipal Solid Waste Planning Regional Board by County Mayor with this body's approval, 1-year term. We have Alvin Jones, Mike Winslow, Billy Burkhead, Mark Adair, Ken Tedford, Gary Tippett, incumbent, and 2 vacant seats.
Yes, sir. I would like to take Mike Winslow, Billy Burkhead, Mark Ade, Kim Tepper, and Gary Tippett and continue them on service to this board. Alvin Jones, determining on whether or not they live in Madison County, still trying to get my hands around that. And I ask that, so Alvin Jones be tabled and the 2 vacant seats be tabled. Mike Winslow, Billy Burkhead, Mark Ade, Kim Tepper, and Gary Tippett to serve again.
So moved. Is that motion clear?
Yeah.
We said-
We're taking off Evan Jones and the 2 vacant seats. Have a motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Item number 23, appointment of 1 member to the Jackson Area Metropolitan Planning Organization Executive Board by this body, Carl Alexander, incumbent.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Appointment of 1 member to the Civil Service Board by this body, 3-year term, Charles Byrd, incumbent.
I did speak to Mr. Byrd. He's volunteered to continue to serve, so I'd make a motion to reappoint.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Item number 25, appointment of 4 commissioners to the Law Enforcement Public Safety Committee by this body, 1-year term, Garrett Eaton, Claudel Brown, Arthur Johnson, incumbent, 1 vacant seat. Commissioner Hill.
Yes, sir. This is one of those committees that was formed for a special task, which has been completed. And so with that being the case, I'd make a motion to sunset this committee as it has not met in several years.
I'll second.
And motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. 26, appointment of 3 members to the Public Record Commission by this body, 5-year term, Cornell Tillett, Jay Bush, Jack Woods, incumbent.
Motion to reappoint.
Second.
Have motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Appointment of 3 members to the E911 board by the county mayor with this body's approval, 4-year term, Joel McAlexander, Kevin Deaton, and John Mayer, incumbent.
Mr. Chair, I recommend Joe McAlexander, Kevin Deaton, and Julian Weiser.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to accept his recommendations.
Motion second by Mr. Hale. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Item number 28, appointment of 3 members to the Public Record Committee by County Mayor This is, by this body's approval, 5-year term, Ms. Skelton, Don Allen, and Andy Hale incumbent.
I recommend reappointment.
So moved.
A motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. 29, election of no Republicans. Cornell Brown says approve it. Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Number 30, any and all matters related connected with matters set forth in items 1 through 29. Commissioner Hale.
These two are first.
No, you can do it.
I know we're all ready to get out of here. I don't think I can leave without saying something I'm concerned about from earlier in the meeting. I don't know if it's a point of order or what the technical term is, but when Commissioner Martin and Commissioner Black were standing and we called for the question, you did a voice vote and there was a all yes, but there was no, you did not take the nays. And so there might have been people who would have voted no to the call the question, but that wasn't.
You're concerned with what now?
Just when we took the vote for the call to question, and Commissioner Martin and Commissioner Black were standing up, you asked for the yays, the yay said yay, but you did not ask for the no's. And I don't know if that's a point of order, but I was concerned about that because they were wanting to speak and we didn't give an option.
You're
for
saying we
people to vote
shouldn't
no.
cease debate?
I'm saying we didn't even take a vote on the no's. You did not ask for the no's for that vote. So that just was concerning to
Well,
me.
you forgive me then. I make mistakes occasionally.
Please go ahead.
I just wanted to make a point of order that in regards to Commissioner Brown, when he did stand, he was up in time to be recognized and he wasn't recognized. And I just kind of want to make sure that that's not a common practice that we take here in this chamber.
When they call for the question, that ceases debate.
Right, when a member calls for the question and is seconded, then you would vote to cease debate. I missed whether or not there was a vote to say no, but if that occurs, make a point of order at the time and bring that to the chair's attention, because now there's not anything that can be done about it. But at the time, if you'd made a point of order, then he could have taken a vote.
But I think what Kevin's saying, he was standing, and then when the motion was made for the question, that ceases debate, even though he was standing.
Right, if there's other members who are standing after the call for the question's made and the body votes on the call of question, that ceases debate. So even if there were other members standing, if that's what the body's voted to do, that ends debate.
There was nothing against any of those who were standing, that's just
They was called, they were standing before the call. They were standing before.
doesn't make any
the call.
difference.
They were
Doesn't matter.
standing before.
Doesn't make any difference.
So it doesn't matter what
No,
they were standing
right.
before, okay. But that's not why I stood up. You know.
Oh, I'm waiting for him to direct the meeting.
Okay, that's.
Commissioner Hale, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out real quick, Ms. Bell and her team have given the Budget Committee some accolades with our time that we spent to work on this budget. Hundreds and hundreds of man hours were spent on this year's budget. And I just want to stop real quick and thank her and her team. She's excellent at what she does. Not being a political position, she is tasked with managing the budgets that we pass and keeping us in the loop on changes, and so I'm very grateful for her service and her team. Melissa, y'all both done a great job this year, and I'm grateful for you.
Ms. Scott.
With that being said, I had a question, but I'm gonna say this. I just want to thank all the department heads for just working so hard and coming to the meetings and working with the chairman of both committees, and I was there. So I just want to thank them because, because without you, your employees would probably, be lost. But what I want to ask the question is in regard to the public meeting. That's only the public meeting. What the person I want to ask is, did that have anything? Did they cite anything from the state in regard to in the committee meetings? Will the public be allowed to speak in the committee meetings? Because I didn't hear that address.
Yes, ma'am. There's a public comment period for all public meetings,
Okay.
so
This one
you would
is-
have a period at both committee and the full commission meetings.
You always know that.
Great. Thank you.
Commissioner Martin.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Hale, when he called for worship this morning, and I was standing, and I understand that you call for worship and then you vote on it. But sometimes, can we not be courtesy and kind to each other? Was it a hurt to allow me to speak? I'm just saying.
Well, sure we can. I thought we were, but I was, if you want to go by the rules, that the rules would be when you
I
call
understand
for
what the
questions based to see.
rules sometimes are not always right.
Oh, they're not? Okay.
Yes, sir. They are not.
All right.
Okay? And then, we get up here, we have these meetings, and Commissioner Hall did such an outstanding prayer this morning. And then we do just the opposite of what he said.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to remind all the commissioners, we got our 10th annual Firefighters Freedom Festival coming up on the 4th of July at the airport. We just want to invite everybody. I also like to remind everybody that's no tax dollars involved in that. It's all done by the community and the businesses that donate for that cause. So just want to remind everybody to come out for it.
Thank you. Let me just make one comment before we leave. I've held this position for a while. I'll be honest with you, I'll kind of be glad when it's over with, and I'm sure many of you probably will be too. But I've tried to be as fair as I possibly can to conduct this in a manner that I think it should be conducted. Now, if I've hurt anybody's feelings, I apologize. If I've done anything out of order, I apologize for that. But I think overall, we allow everyone to speak, probably too much. We allow the public to speak. No matter what our rules are, we never prevent anybody from speaking in this body since I've been here. Okay? Roll call. We adjourn. Do I have a motion? Yeah, good. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Abernathy.